Let me bring your attention to a Democrat who engages in practical racism. There's a US senator, and by all appearances, he's a nice guy. He talks about systemic injustices and racism. He's typically on the right side of the corporate Democratic vote, not always on the progressive side, even though he considers himself to be a progressive when the speech fits. This individual represents Rhode Island. So let me bring your attention to Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Sheldon Whitehouse is now facing more scrutiny than ever before because on the eve of Juneteenth, something that he says he was proud to vote for. On the eve of Juneteenth, he was cornered by a local reporter. Well, this reporter had questions for Senator Whitehouse. And I promise you, the good senator thought he was going to talk about his amazing victory for Juneteenth, giving black people a holiday. But she had some other questions for this senator. Here's how it went.
Back in 2017, you had expressed concerns about the membership of the all-white Bailey's Beach Club, said that you hoped it would become more diverse. Now, your family's been members, your wife is one of the largest shareholders. Has there been any traction in that? Are there any minority members of the club now?
I think the people who are running the place are still working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet.
Do you have concerns in 2021? I mean, obviously it's been 4 years. You had remarks on the floor following the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd saying, hoping to root out systemic racism in the country. Your thoughts on an elite, all-white, wealthy club, again, in this day and age? Should these clubs continue to exist?
It's a long tradition in Rhode Island, and there are many of them. And I think we just need to work our way through the issues. Thank you.
You see, the good senator says, racism is a long tradition. Not only in Rhode Island, by the way, but also across the United States of America and beyond. I want you to remember, this is a US senator who gets a lot of support from progressive and black and brown communities, disenfranchised individuals. He talks a good game. He says he's on the right side of the justice argument. However, in his practice, ladies and gentlemen, he is in fact practicing racism. You see, the club he's a part of is not all white by accident, it is all white by design. They do not allow black people to join their prestigious establishment. Now, here's another part of the irony. When he was campaigning back in 2006, while White House appeared to dismiss the club's circumstances, his wife, Sandra Whitehouse, is one of the 3 largest stakeholders in the club. When the Rhode Island senator, who was first elected in 2006, initially ran for his office, he disavowed his membership and pledged to quit the club. So to get votes, he said, hey, I should not be a member of this all-white establishment. It's antithetical to what I believe, and if you make me your US senator, I will disavow them. But instead, he got paid. His wife is one of the largest shareholders. And all of a sudden, the whole sentiment about racial equality has evaporated. Let me tell you why this man is a problem. He's a problem because he has a price tag and I see it. I know he's a Democrat, and I know some people will say, Doc, don't talk about Democrats like that. Damn that. This is the problem with our establishment in politics today. They all are for sale. To talk more about this, to break it down even further, I have my dear sister, Adrienne Lawrence. Adrienne, welcome.
Thank you for having me. And oh boy, this is really special what White House is doing here. The fact that, his wife is such a reigning member of this club and is continuing to take significant income and revenue, and also being owning what about 1/3 of it, that should at least tell you that she has some control over the club itself. And I understand that the black population in Rhode Island is only about 6 to 7%. I get that. But at the same time, efforts could be made to diversify the community at the club, and clearly that hasn't been done.
And he made a campaign promise. I mean, the guy, when he ran initially, said, hey, you know what? There's something wrong with this club that I'm a member of. And anytime your club has the same value expression as the KKK, which by the way is a white only club too. Anytime you're you're part of an organization that has that same expression, you may want to consider your life decisions. But he did not bank in on the promise. And what I think happened here, Adrienne, and this is me speculating, but I'm looking at circumstantial evidence. He said he would disavow it, and then all of a sudden, him and his wife are now getting paid. And what he said, oh, I don't know, that's them. They got to work that out. You mean you need to talk to your wife about it? Because according to the documents, your wife has a lot of power and control in this organization.
Yep, it really does tell you, just like you had said, in terms of that there's a price tag. And there's clearly a price tag that's being paid on this person being a faux progressive, yet living a lifestyle that seems to perpetuate white supremacy. And the fact that, again, nothing has been done over the years, that really shows you that this was an empty promise that was made by White House and that this is all for show. And it's extremely disappointing, but at the same time, unfortunately, it's not surprising.
Yeah, it's not surprising, and I get it. He's a politician. Many of us wanted people like him to be transformative, and something I tell my college students all the time. Anytime you engage with a politician, expect them to be transactional. Now, it's great when they are in fact transformational, like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and others, but just have an expectation that all of them are transactional to some level. There's a transaction happening here. There's some type of connection to something that he wants. This guy is wealthy. He's a US senator. Why does he need this? Why would he risk his US Senate seat? Why would he risk his reputation to be part of an all-white club that will not allow black membership? That doesn't make sense to me unless there's something I don't see.
Oh, I think it completely and totally makes sense. It's all about purporting to be here for equality, purporting to be an individual progress while still holding up white supremacy. Because again, the reality is that the vast majority of his constituents are likely white. And whether a lot of people are cognizant of it or not, they want to bolster the system that keeps them on top. And so pretending to be progressive while really continuing to bolster white supremacy, that is the way that it's done in terms of society. As in, look, I don't have a white hood, but that doesn't mean I'm not sending black people to enter through the back. So this is really on par for a lot of people out there who claim to be progressives, but are living lifestyles that are actually bolstering white supremacy.
He said something really worth analyzing. He said, and I quote, "This is a long tradition in Rhode Island." A long tradition in Rhode Island. What he's saying in that comment is that the tradition of his whiteness and his white dominated social class, which he is a part of now with that club, that is more important to him than being right. Because this guy literally talks against clubs like that in his senatorial speeches. He has opposed legislation that would indicate white supremacy is being lifted, or places where diversity is not celebrated. However, in his personal life, in his personal context, he's risking everything to make sure he's part of this elite white membership club that will not allow people of color.
Yeah,
damn
white
shame.
Solidarity. Yep. He's showing us his true colors, that white solidarity is more important to him than it is about making change.
Well said.